Hello, my friends. This is Lynda Lippin, and welcome to the Pilates Goddess podcast. Hey, everybody. Happy New Year. It is the first episode in 2023. It's Lynda here, your host, and I am so thrilled to let you know that the podcast actually achieved the 6,000 download milestone on New Year's Day on January 1st. So super excited about that. And thank you to all of you who listen and share and send me emails and leave comments and join my Facebook communities and do all of those things. Now, if you love the podcast, I have a few ways that you can actually help support the podcast. And all of the ways of supporting the podcast actually give you the opportunity to do a live class and discussion with me on at least a monthly basis. So if you go into the show notes and click on support the show or support me on Ko-fi, that's ko-fi.com, you will see that there are a few ways to go about supporting. Number one, you can make a one-time gift. Bills right through your credit card and just lets me know that you love me and support me. The second way is a Lover of the Podcast membership. This is $7 a month. And what do you get for the $7 a month? You get access to some exclusive discounts. You'll get access to some exclusive sessions. And you also get a monthly live Zoom Pilates class with a discussion and Q&A section after. I will be kind of changing up the schedule of the class on a monthly basis until we find something that works for the majority of people, or at least for some. And if you can't make the lives, the recordings will be available to you. The second way that you can help support the podcast, if you are a lover of Pilates and a lover specifically of my Strong Bones Osteoporosis Friendly Pilates, is you can join as a Strong Bones Pilates supporter. And at this level is $17. But for that, you not only get the free class with me once a month, but you will also receive a pre-recorded osteoporosis-friendly Pilates class that will be delivered to you monthly right on the Ko-fi feed. And then finally, if you are a Pilates instructor and you're getting some great information out of this podcast, I really recommend that you join the Pilates Teacher Mastermind support level. And at that $27 a month level, you will get everything in the first two lower levels of support, plus an additional teacher training video every single month, a continuing education training, as well as a free class geared towards teachers, where, of course, you will also have access to the replay. At the Strong Bones and Pilates Teacher Mastermind levels, you also receive a 25% discount on everything else I offer. That is including private sessions, that is including Strong Bones classes, and that is including any Pilates Teacher Mastermind workshops or programs that I have going on. And in fact, I have a round of the Strong Bones Pilates program, which is my signature 4-week osteoporosis Pilates program, starting on Sunday, the 8th. So if you join right now at lindalippin.com/strong-bones, and of course, the link will be in the show notes, you will be able to use the 25% discount that you will receive when you sign up on coffee on the Strong Bones program. And then starting on the 15th, a week later, I have a 3-month container of the Pilates Teacher Mastermind starting, where we are looking at business growth. And you can see all the details on my website. And of course, there will be a link in the show notes. But just know that for a very, very low monthly fee, especially if you include the 25% discount that you'll get for signing up on coffee, you will have access to a whole lot of me as we go through your business, as we go through your business plans, as we go through your programming, as we go through your pricing, and really get you ready to make more money in your Pilates business in 2023. So I'm really excited about all of those things. And these are all ways that you can help support me, support the show, support my work, and have access to me for your questions and answers and some actual Pilates classes. So I hope to see you all somewhere in my Pilates world. Okay. Today's podcast is about self-love and how self-love may not always be the greatest thought for you to think. So, as a coach and as a fitness professional, I do a lot of work on how thoughts become things, right? About how when we think of something that we want for ourselves, or we have certain thoughts about our bodies, about exercise, about what we can do, can't do, shouldn't do, how these thoughts typically always end up manifesting themselves somewhere in the real world, and not always in a way that is good for us, or not always in the way that we intended. And some of that, I realize, is that many of us, myself included, have come from backgrounds in which what was defined as love really didn't seem very loving. So if you, say, had parents who were physically, verbally, or emotionally abusive, but consistently told you that that was love, and that was them showing how much they loved you, then there's a good chance that now, and I'm 56, right? So, we're talking many moons later, that you still may have an idea in your head that that kind of behavior equals love. And that, my friend, means that your definition and your concept of self-love is going to be a little fucked up, right? Because your concept and definition of love that was given to you is fucked up. So we tend to pass those things right on to ourselves, as well as, the chosen family around us. And I've thought a lot about this because all I hear about is self-love. We hear celebrities talking about self-love. We hear exercise gurus talking about self-love. We hear people saying that things in our lives should feel like self-love. Exercise should feel like self-love. What we eat should feel like self-love. Well, sometimes I got to tell you, eating a pint of Ben & Jerry's New York Super Fudge Chunk feels like a lot of self-love, although it probably really isn't. So I want to today, it's going to be a relatively short podcast for me, to kind of parse out what we can start to think about ourselves to replace this kind of anomalous, strange idea of self-love and replace it with something that may actually work. And I bring this up in the new year, and I bring this up following my last episode of last year, which was all about how we should not make New Year's resolutions because most of the time they don't happen anyway. And then we just feel like shit because we made it and, broke it 2 days later. So first, I want you to think back and really think about how you define love and what love means to you, how love was defined, for you when you were growing up, how love may be defined in your culture or society or your peer group or by your husband or your wife or partner, and what that feels like, right? Because we throw that word around a lot. But I haven't heard a whole lot of consensus from people on what exactly love is, on what exactly love means, what exactly love feels like. And if we're not sure about how that feels in relationship to anything else, I'm not so sure that we're going to necessarily be able to define that in relationship to ourselves. Okay. So I realized after a while of thinking about this, of sitting with this, of meditating with this, that love for me has always felt like it had a lot to do with regulation and control. That somehow self-love was not eating enough, that self-love was overdoing and overachieving, whether it was in academia, whether it was in exercise, whether it was in any job that I've had. And that love for me in many ways has always required external validation of that love, right? We often say, don't say it, show it. But I always wanted to kind of feel that love, to feel that connection. In times when I felt disconnected from myself, from another person, from anything, I felt no love, like the love was gone. So, I have this sense of regulation and control, yet a sense of connection. And when I think about my own relationship to my body and my relationship to food and my relationship to exercise and my relationship to putting myself out there and doing things like this podcast, during which time I get deeply personal, you may notice. Like, I just kind of dig deep into myself as much as I try to dig deep into my discussions with other people and my discussions about Pilates. But self-love for me has always been kind of fraught with issues and problems. I basically set conditions upon myself and my own behavior and my own way of being. And when I meet those conditions, then I love myself. And if I don't meet those conditions, then I don't love myself. And when I say it like that, it sounds really fucked up, right? It sounds like how could you not love yourself? What is there not to love? Well, as somebody who is very results oriented, when I fuck things up, which I do often and all the time, I judge myself and I blame myself. And then I withhold love for myself. But this also happens to me in terms of my body. And that's really what I want to get into with you guys today. Because it's the beginning of the year, we are all being inundated with messaging around how we look. And we are getting this from all sides. We are getting this from weight loss products and teas and detoxes. We are getting this from cosmetic surgeons and dermatologists who all want us to like inject shit in our faces so that they stop moving, because that's how you stop wrinkles, is by stopping your face from moving. We're getting this from every single diet and exercise program out there, from the most safe to the most extreme. We are hearing that we have to crush our goals for the new year. We are hearing that we have to attack the new year with energy and fervor. We are hearing that we need to start the new year out strong and start the new year out consistent. And frankly, I think, number one, at the beginning of the year, most of us are fucking exhausted, right? Because even if you've had some time off, it's been time off spent a lot of times with family and friends who you don't always really like to hang out with that much. There's a lot of judgment around this time of year, again, in terms of what we're doing and who we are and how we look and how we sound and all of those things. And, you know, by the beginning of January, we're just expected to go, you know, whole hog into the brand new year and all the things that we can do for ourselves because we love ourselves, even though at this point, a lot of us are just friggin' tired. So I'm going to give you a reframe. And it is a reframe that, you know, works for me the majority of the time. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it works for me all the time, because it doesn't. Sometimes I just really don't love myself and I feel like shit about myself and I don't like my body and I don't like how I look and I don't like how I feel. And I think it's important to tell you that, right? Because so many of you see me out there, you see me online. You know, there may be days when you don't see any posts from me, and that's because I'm not going to throw up bullshit posts about how like wonderful everything is and how great my life is and how everyone, you know, should come work with me because my life is so great. And if you work with me, yours will be too. All right. I'm not about that. Frankly, if you start doing Pilates or other forms of exercise or coaching with me, I leave my stuff at the door when I deal with you. So your life is going to get better regardless, really, of how my life happens to be doing at that particular time. But what I look at now, instead of necessarily thinking about loving myself all the time, then I get into a whole judgment pattern about that, right? Well, but I don't love myself right now. And why should I love myself right now? And fuck you, I don't want to love myself right now. And you're making me. And why do I have to do all of this? And instead, I'm reframing a lot of this into taking care of the basic needs of my body, taking care of the basic needs of my spirit, whatever that means to you. And making sure that at a minimum, I'm doing enough exercise to keep my joints moving, to keep my bones dense, to keep my muscles strong, to keep my heart strong. Okay? That I am eating enough that I feel satiated and I'm not hungry, but that I'm not just, you know, shoving that pint of Ben & Jerry's in my mouth for no apparent reason because it somehow feels like it's making me feel better, even though a day later I feel worse. I'm also looking at ways of staying connected with the people around me and looking at things that consistently make me feel a little bit better. My husband and I have a thing now where if we see like cute animal videos or cute puppy videos or cute rescue videos, or I'm actually going to give a shout out to Chloe, the serval, and her awesome parents on Instagram and Facebook, because nothing makes my day better than to look at a video of Chloe, the serval. She's 17 years old. She's spoiled rotten. She's gorgeous and awesome. Her parents totally love her. And I just literally I find it heartwarming to look at her stuff and look at her videos. Okay. I've also found that I need time to sit down and read trashy novels, that I need time to sit down and just hang out with my husband, that I need time to spend time with myself. Okay. And it doesn't have to mean that I love myself. Although all of these things may sound to you like the things that the self-love gurus talk about all the time, find those basics that work for you. So I stopped worrying about following, say, an intermittent fasting routine, which, as you know, I did for many, many years. In fact, it so happens that due to my schedule and due to how I like to eat, I tend to do an intermittent fast. I tend to go a little bit longer between what I eat at night and when I eat first thing in my day. Okay, but I don't schedule that. I don't try to do that. I eat when I eat. I eat when I'm hungry, frankly. Then I realized that I wasn't doing enough. I'm not going to say like intense exercise, but I really wasn't doing enough in terms of strength work and cardio. My body was craving stretching, and I was doing a lot of it, and that really wasn't doing my body much good in terms of endurance and cardiovascular health and all the other things that I need. So I started doing a little bit more of that. And it's actually worked out really well now, because now what I do is I do my 20 to 25 minutes of cardio or strength work first thing in my day. And then right before I sat down to record this at around 6 p.m., I did 15 minutes of kind of yoga and Pilates stretching, but with some strength work mixed in, which felt really good. And then, before I go to bed tonight, I'll get on the roller and I'll do my chest opening and the work that I do to keep my degenerative cervical vertebrae together so that I'm not in a ridiculous amount of pain. That all works. Okay. And the more that I do these things and that I don't make myself do them, that I don't call them self-love, that I don't worry about them, I just do them, the better I start to feel about myself. So you can actually build and create self-love in many ways by simply behaving in consistent, effective, safe, easy to do things that keep you somewhat connected with the people that you wish to be connected to, and that keep you kind of connected to your own body and yourself. And you can do that without naming it. You can do that without calling it self-love. You can do that without Making resolutions. You can do that without writing everything down. You can, you can do that for yourself by just, deciding that you want to do it and signing up for a class, or, finding somebody on YouTube that you love and working out for free, right? However it is that you wish to do that. Now, if you, like me, are, a woman over 50, I'll be 57 in September, so we're getting near 60 now. We're seeing it. We're seeing that number. You might also want to think about online communities that will help support you and help you, have people who you can ask questions to that you might not be comfortable asking your family or your friends. I found a community like that in a group that was originally a group on Facebook called What Would Virginia Woolf Do? Or the Wolfers. And then they merged with a group called Revel, that's for women over 40, that was started on the West Coast. And now I am kind of intrinsically involved within that community. I also have a great community of not just women, but men and women from all over the world in the wellness universe, right? Where I also teach some classes, do some workshops, and spend some of my time. We need to be a little more focused on what we're doing when we're online, of who we're spending our time with, of who we're talking to. And as you do that, and as the kind of outside chatter starts to dissipate a little bit, you'll be left with yourself. And when you're left with yourself, then you will start to figure out what it is that you need, what it is that you want, and you'll start to do more of that. It's not making yourself do more of it. It's not forcing yourself to do shit you hate. All right? That's what willpower means, by the way. Willpower means forcing yourself to do shit you hate. And sometimes we have to do that, right? We have to get up early. We have to go to work. We have to go to school. We have to finish projects. We have to get shit done. But a lot of the times we don't. Okay? And life gets better as we do less of forcing ourselves to do shit we don't like and more of doing things that feel good to us. And we need to not judge what those things are. So, my friend, I want you to really sit down and think about your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your body, your relationship with other people, maybe your relationship with food, maybe your relationship with movement. And I want you to make a list of the stuff you hate, of the stuff you really don't like, of the people you really don't like, of the events you really don't like, of the things that you really don't want to do anymore. And once you've done that, I want you to think about what you're going to do instead of those things. Who are you going to hang out with instead of those people? What are you going to do instead of those activities that you hate? What are you going to eat instead of eating those foods that you hate? How are you going to spend your time if you're not doing tons of shit that you hate? I used to be a philosophy and women's studies professor, and yet I've always read really trashy, girly chick novels, always, always, always. I've always read kind of trashy sci-fi and fantasy novels, always. And I used to judge myself for them, but in a way, I think that's what my brain needed, right? To get me kind of out of academia and into something else. We need to stop judging and just start living in a way that makes us feel better about ourselves, about the people around us, and about what we ourselves are doing. And the closer we can get to that, my friends, is self-love. It's not a thing. It's a process. It's not going to be there all the time. Hopefully you get to a place where it's there for you a little bit more than not. And that's what I wish for you in this new year. What I wish for you, what I wish for me in 2023 is more of a sense of what it might feel like to love myself, or for you to love yourself. And I'm going to leave you with that. That is it for me for today. So thank you so much once again for listening to the podcast. I would love it if you would head over to the coffee link that is in the show notes and show a little bit of support for the podcast. I do not charge anything for this podcast for any of the information that I'm giving out here in my free Facebook groups, on social media, and in many on my YouTube channel and in many other places. And, I am happy to give you guys some live classes, some discounts, and some exclusive offers in exchange for really a negligible bit of support, which is $7 a month if you're just a podcast listener and supporter, $17 a month if you are a Strong Bones Pilates person and would like some access to Strong Bones Pilates classes, or $27 a month if you're a Pilates teacher and would like a little bit of access to my pre-recorded continuing education workshops, as well as some live classes and trainings. And all of these come with significant discounts on my programs and services, including private sessions and Strong Bones studio classes. So thanks a lot, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Pilates Goddess podcast. Music brought to you by Nerd Salad. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, especially if you liked it. And please like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks.